So you will see this week in the YouTube channel. Sorry, Annika, I didn't know if that was you or where that noise was coming from, so I just muted everyone. So you will see on the YouTube channel, there are 3 different citrus arrangements I did. So you can have a lot of chance for practice on this. Next week, I think we're going to watercolor. I'll dig up my schedule of the things that we're going to do in the next couple weeks. But of course, you're always welcome to draw what you and paint what you want. So if you find something you want to do, you just go ahead and do it and I'll help you. In this particular case, where is the light coming from? Can you tell?
From above.
Yeah, exactly. Because the shadow is going down, because the lightest part is kind of here at the top. In fact, we almost kind of lose the edge to the, usually we lose edges to the darkness, right? To the shadows. But in this case, we actually have a lost edge in the light because of this white background. So I'm going to suggest that we not sketch out these, but we're going to start with this. We're going to start by sketching this guy. And as usual, I want you to determine here. As usual, we're going to start by determining the vertical distance. So notice I'm working on something that's smaller, mostly because I thought it suited this subject, but I'm going to start by putting this here and this here. I'm just kind of randomly deciding where I want these to go. It's obviously a little bit to the right because I want room. I know that a lot of my lemon is going to go here, and then I'm going to check, and then I'm going to find the halfway point. So it doesn't matter whether this matches this. They kind of do actually, but it's more important proportionally. 1, 2, yep. So find the halfway point. Interestingly, the halfway point on almost all of these has been kind of near that center. Here's the center right here. So in this case, it's a little bit below, which I think is helpful. So I'm kind of sketching this down. You can make your lines kind of light if you want to. 1, 2, yep. So here's the halfway point. And then the last thing I'm going to check is how wide is this compared to my height? Almost exactly. This is, if we were to draw a square, it would totally fit. The width at the halfway point is exactly the height. And then the last thing I'm going to check. Interesting. So symmetrical. So this is also divided exactly in half. So the quickest, easiest way to get this is to know that each one of these quarters all the way down, 1, 2, 3, 4 should be the same. So I should be able to come here and mark my edge. And then I should be able to come here and mark my edge using the quarters. So before I've even started, I could technically draw a square around this whole object and have it fit. Of course, it's not really like that, right? So I've drawn this square in, but I don't want you to draw that square in. I just wanted to show you how that works. So when I get my outside lines in, right? I can also pay attention to this negative space that's here. I'm not really drawing it in, but I'm thinking about it as I'm sketching. Oh, this guy pops a little bit out of the outside. And I'm going all the way around. So the first lines we're doing, so not to get confused, the first lines we're doing are here. Meow. So we have this funny kind of lumpen shape. And the shapes were, what I like about this method is that I'm paying more attention to these outer shapes so that when I get these inner, when I'm ready to sketch my inner shapes. So this idea of paying attention to the very outer shape is going to help me get these other shapes right. What happens is if we try to kind of guess where this is, we tend to make it too big. Now I can see that this line with the white. The other thing I like about citrus is that there's a very obvious in here. There's a very obvious white areas. It really helps to emphasize the idea of how important white is in a watercolor composition, more than in other paintings. Normally I'm kind of a white is bad, don't use white. I don't mean that really, but I just mean normally I'm like avoid white, it flattens things. But in this particular case with watercolor, notice also it kind of comes down. I can see there's an interesting way it comes down and sort of flattens here. So it doesn't curve all the way in, kind of comes down here to a point and then flattens over. We can see the white on every side, but it gets much bigger on this side. And then make sure you leave enough room for it, particularly on this side. I'm not getting in the citrus shapes yet. We're going to add them in, but a little bit later. And then you see it gets much skinnier on this side. They're still white.
So it looks much skinnier now because we can't see from the line. The line goes above.
Well, you'll have to look at it. You'll have to just look at the regular original.
Oh,
there's not. I can't help you. Like I'd love to. Like I want you guys to be able to see the shapes. But in any event, it's pretty skinny. The other thing that's happening is there's this kind of little yellow, sort of bright yellow edge. So there's like the white, and then there's this bright yellow edge before we which is the the skin being cut, that sort of yellow skin being cut through. So that's there as well. And you want these to be highlighted, and you want your lines to be light because you want to make sure that you're not, so your lead line is not too strong, because we're going to keep these areas light. So let me show you what this looks like up close. I'm using my back camera today, so we'll see if that, somebody suggested, Eugene suggested that I do that. We'll see if that works any better. So it's funny, I can see you guys on the top of this thing and on the bottom. Remember, we're moving into a new, that's looking great, Diana. Your little half rat, half whatever. What did we decide it was? Wombat. He looks great. There we go.
No, it does not look like a cat yet.
It's all right. He does. We know. Yes. Listen, we know of your magic. No problem. All right. And then kind of up here is this light area that I kind of want to, you may not paint it all. So I might even, we'll see what we're going to do with this. Very lightly, we want to kind of sketch out that light part. There is also, of course, the shadow down here. There's like two shadows actually, which is kind of neat, which will be fun to do. There's this sort of orange, the sort of yellowy shadow. And then because the light's facing down, I don't even have room to fit it all in my, so I won't try, but I'll get some of it. Then there's this kind of grayish purple shadow of this mimicking it. So if I'd been smarter, I might have moved this up higher so I could fit this down. That's okay. I'm all right with this. But if you want to fit it all in, that also could be a nice part of the composition. I also know that my sort of dark center is here, kind of about here, just below the halfway point. Here's my halfway point. It's below it. So the next thing you're going to do is, and this is where I want you to pay attention. I don't want you to randomly lay your lemon slices out. I want you to actually look at where these white lemon slices are. If you're having trouble, I will lines, because we're going to pull them out. I'll take a picture up close and send it across so you can really see it. So I want you to really 2 lines for every section. And here's where you can start to, and I want you to kind of pay attention to where those lines fall, because that's very much a part of how we know, like how the lemon is shaped for us. And then you see, I can sketch, I can kind of round off this edge here. We're going to leave these light. But it's important, and I'm also getting rid of any extra pencil marks once I don't need them. Notice some of these are skinnier, some are less. This one's kind of a wide one. This one still rises above. And I really want 2 lines because we want to be conscious. Now, if I was doing what I think of as cheating, which isn't really cheating at all, it's just using a tool, you could also paint these with some of that stuff that blocks paint from being, you know, that you rub off. But I'm not, I'm interested in showing you how to control your brush. So I want you, that's why we're not learning to use that in these classes. You might find that that's really great, and I applaud you if you want to use it. I forget the word for it. This kind of block thing. Oh, yeah, there we go. Wait. Easy to get lost. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, I have one more. Oh, you need to get a little bit. I made this a little too big. There we go. So what's interesting is these pencil marks are important. They will provide structure for us. They'll remind us of the structure. They'll remind us that there are places we need to preserve. And they'll also, at the end, kind of help us to see. Here, let me take a picture of this. No, that's not what I want. Okay, here, hold on. I've been doing this all week, so I'm very much appreciating the lemon. It's just such a beautiful fruit. We did oranges and lemons yesterday in class, so I will upload that video shortly. It's ready now after class. Here we are. Okay, and then from here, I can use these measurements to help me figure out how big this second slice is. So the first thing I'm doing for myself is just to get another little box around it. I can see that the height, so let's see, if I'm drawing, here's kind of the halfway point. Where's the widest edge? The widest edge is kind of, well, here, hold on. Do the vertical distance, then I'll find the halfway point. The halfway point is about here. Yep. then we'll go across like this. So the first thing I notice, maybe you can see this a little better as I draw this, is if I'm checking this, is that, let's see. Oh, look at that. This is the same width as this. Wait, is that, so I thought these guys were the same. They're mostly the same. I see. This is a little bit higher. I think I told you originally these were exactly the same. Doesn't look like on my second measure they are not. I think this one is slightly taller. So if you want to bring up your thing just a little bit, Gesundheit. That looks better. Okay, so from here, you could even bring it up higher. I thought things felt a little scrunched. So you can see I'm bringing up I didn't quite get the measurement right. There you go. See, I'm always like telling you guys to measure twice. That's what happens when you don't. Don't be like your teacher. Don't do what I say. Say what I do. What I say. Don't do what I do. Okay, so you need to be just a little bit higher. There we go. Okay. That should be all right. All right, so the width of this width from here is the same as the height. Oh, maybe also I should bring in this a little bit. Yes, that's what really needed to happen. So I added a little bit to the height and I brought in a little bit to the right. Yep, there we go. That's better. Okay, so the width of this, or the height of this, is the same measurement as this. And it should come down a little bit lower than the top of this. It also should line up at the base with this. Got it? So we're doing, that's how we're bringing that measurement about. And then the width of this is like the height of this. That's what it is. Yep. So from here to here, if I'm going straight across, so the height is the same as the width, and the width is the same as the height. And then from here, still at the halfway point, they're still divided kind of symmetrically in half. So it's equal on this side to this side. Mm-hmm. And then oh, hello. Hello, hello. Wow. These guys are touching the outside edges. I'm doing this with pencil because I think it's a little bit easier to see. I'll send it over in a second. Remember, we're avoiding the inside lines till we get that outside shape. This touches here, comes down like this, over. Okay. So notice I didn't like plan super well. Why is my what? Why is my voice sounding funny? Huh? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you had an
Okay.
echo earlier.
Echo for just a second. Yeah, God knows. I'm kind of surprised Zoom always works as well as it does, considering the stresses on it. Okay. Okay. Here it is. So you'll notice I adjusted the height and the width of this one just a little bit. I expanded this up just a touch. And I skinnied it out here so that I would have the correct proportions. Better. And then this, expand this out. I feel, by the way, I feel like we should have some kind of, maybe we have a party every week, but I feel like we should have some kind of party because you guys have been doing this all for a year. So somehow at the end of this class, I want you to think about what's happened to you. What have you got out of, what have you learned in this year? You know, art is, as you probably figured out by now, is one of those things that you can't do in half measures. You've really got to keep showing up. And you guys have consistently shown up. Hi, Nina. Hi, Jessica.
Hi.
Hi, Rashmi. Hi, Emma. We were just talking about you. Rashmi, we're wondering how you're doing over there.
I'm fine. My society, my housing society, went into became a containment zone yesterday because of many number of cases. So we have like around 1,500 flats, apartments in this society.
Oh,
So
God.
a lot of people got infected, and I think there are 2 casualties as well, 2 deaths.
Oh,
So
God.
yeah, so now we're not allowed to even go out during the, like, we have a curfew through the day, but we're only allowed to go out between 6 to 10 a.m. in the morning for buying groceries and essentials. But for our society, because we are containment zone, we can't do that as well.
Oh, my
So
God.
online deliveries and yeah.
Be really careful.
Please. Be really careful with your precious self. We could not bear if anything happened to you.
It's
It would
very
not
sad.
be
Yeah.
good.
I mean, whoever I know has someone infected in the family or some casualty.
Oh, do you?
Not in my immediate family, but a lot of friends and
Yeah.
colleagues and
Of course, we know Needy is quite sick.
How is Needy?
Needy is recovering, Nidhi, but the good thing about her and her family is that they're not they are okay and recovering at home. The problem
Good.
is you have to go to a hospital,
Right.
which is impossible in Delhi. I mean, you're not getting any beds, there are no oxygen cylinders. So I think that's a blessing if you can recover at home.
Okay, good. We'll take whatever blessings we can.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're thinking about you, Rashmi, just so that you know.
Thank you.
Anyway, let's stop talking about it because now we want to get you to forget about it for just a little while.
Oh, what were you talking about me?
We were talking about, I just was saying hello.
I'm always late.
No, I was just saying. I was just assuming you were flopping. You know, what happens is I put the screen up big and then I can't see who joins the class a little bit late. So
I managed to get the boys off the computer games and outside. So that's
good job. What I was just thinking was I want you guys thinking about how much you've learned in the last year. It's really impressive. So once we get to this point, now we can start looking at where this white area really lies. So the white area is really important to preserve. as I've said, in watercolor, that's the key, right? The key is the white area. Pay attention to this shape as you sketch this out, as well as, right? So pay attention to this, make sure that these shapes are matching.
By the way, Leah, when
Mhm.
I'm really blowing it up, I can't see double lines for the whites.
That's not the point. They are there. That's not the point. We're exaggerating them. So we need to exaggerate them. So I want you
Why?
to just work with it because white is important in watercolor. Watch. Just
Because
go
when
through
I
the
look-
lesson. You're not going to be able to logic this one out, Sandra. Go through the lesson and you'll see. I guess this is one of those points where I'm going to say, do what I say, because we are exaggerating the white areas and you're not going to be painting exactly what you see. You're going to be painting an impression of what you see. And one of the things I really want to focus on is you guys getting how important white is and how much we need to emphasize it in watercolor more than what you see. So roll with me on this one is what
Okay,
I'm saying.
just when I was looking at what they did last night, it didn't look realistic with these big lines.
Then that you can take it, you can find a teacher who will teach you that way. That's not how I'm going to teach you. I'm not telling you I don't want to teach you. I'm just saying this is my way of doing this. And I think it's a very valuable lesson in how to simplify. When you're painting a painting, you're not painting a photograph. You're not trying to create something that looks so real that it could be mistaken for a photograph. We're creating a painting. That's a different thing than, and that's, it's its own thing. And so this is what this lesson is about how to simplify. We're not trying to paint every detail all the time. But there are painters who paint that way. And if you want, and maybe some teachers who teach that way, I don't know. But
Can I give
for
a
me,
shout out to Marianne's work with this topic?
What's
If
that?
you haven't seen Marianne's figures, like her green screen figures,
Oh yeah, they're in the show from
They're-
last year.
they're really like, that is simplification done
Right.
in what is, like, I think a pretty genius way. It's accurate, but it's very simplified.
Yep.
And it's just like a really good example of what Leah's talking about.
Right. The truth is, you guys none of us really can paint, can get every piece on. I mean, you could if you had many years of skill
I'm
and
not talking about doing
practice.
photographs, but well, anyway, never mind.
Yeah.
You're the
Watch
teacher,
me.
you're right.
Watch me on this one. And then if you disagree with me, you could totally do it differently, but this is the technique. The technique is we're exaggerating something, which is not, boy, I never pull that, do I? I never pull the I'm the teacher. That's the first time I've ever said I'm the teacher. You just have to follow me.
Dang, Leah.
What a bitch. Such a bitch. Oh, sorry, Kat. Sorry, Sandra.
It's okay.
It's
You
just
need
funny.
your coffee.
Yeah. I need my writing crop. Exactly.
Your coffee.
Oh, my
Leah?
coffee. I've had too much coffee.
Leah,
Oh, that's
Yeah.
why.
I have a small question.
Yes.
You said that, the first time when we, when you measured, it was a little,
A little off. Yes.
Yeah, a little off. But even when you have fixed it, just wanted to know, in the first lemon, the lemon on your right hand side,
Uh-huh.
that circle is still below that central line, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
absolutely. Good check. Good check. Excellent. You guys, excellent. Yes. So now I'm adding in these lines, trying to get them the way I see them in relation to my center. So watercolor, like I said, more than anything else, benefits from, this is what I learned. I haven't, like I said, I've studied a little bit of watercolor. I actually have a great teacher here in Portland I work with from time to time. And I was always amazed at how easy it was to overpaint in watercolor. And then working with him, I really learned how little you need, how much white kind of plays a role. If that's, that makes sense. White plays a real significant role in watercolor in a way it doesn't in the other. So white unpainted paper is really a significant part of a watercolor painting. The white, and we have to emphasize it. So just like we tend to kind of emphasize certain colors, right? Some brightnesses beyond like what's actually happening in the photograph. With watercolor, we've got to be cognizant of the white. So that's the key. That's what I'm going to tell you as we're going through here. There's a little light edge here. And then I'll send this over. Oh, there's a little tiny, oh, right. And here on this side, and I'm sorry, because I've covered up with this marker, there's a little bit of a bump. Not so much on this side. And let me, that means I'm adjusting this. Keep it. So go ahead and send in. Here, let me get a picture of this so you can see the final drawing. And as always with watercolor, Anik, that looks in pretty good shape. Looks great. As always with watercolor, we are spending a significant amount, way more time drawing than painting, because the painting actually goes fairly fast. Make sure you mark off this top little blick here. It's kind of like a little rectangle. It's going to stay white as well.
I see what you did there.
What did I do there?
You used the word blick properly.
Yeah. It's right. You know, it's funny. It's Russian, as far as I can tell.
I thought it was the guy's last name, Dick Blick.
No. It's a well, so I've always thought of the little white reflective spot because my teachers were originally Russian and Russian language speakers. They'd always call this white reflective spot the blick. The blick. And they're like, I don't know what you called it. And I'm like, I think the blick is great. Olga, nice. But Olga, you need to clean up this. Mm-hmm. Yeah. This should be very white. So you like what you've done is the drawing's beautiful, but you've kind of lost your white here. So get back in there with your eraser and pull it out. Looks great. Good job, you guys. Nice drawing. The blick. So that's how I think of the blick, is I always think it's like the Russian word for that. And I don't really know, there is really no quick word for that in English. Is there for that?
No.
Little reflective, that little light reflective edge?
No, not that I know of.
Nothing that sounds as good as blick.
Well, I mean, Blick is so happy because then you get to go there and buy paint.
Blick is great. Dick Blick is also a really great place. And you can buy Utrecht products there too. So
yes, now you can since the merger. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In Swedish, it means that you have the glint in the eye.
Oh, so that's the same thing, right? In a way, it's like that little white. I mean, I know it has a metaphorical meaning as well, right? There's the metaphorical meaning of the glint in the eye, but also it probably is that reflection, that reflected light, which is like a little white spot. Oh my God, that's so cool.
In German,
I don't know why that's not. That ought to be on those word of the day emails instead of all those French words.
Wait, so what's the German? What is
Blick in German means the gaze.
It does?
It's more like that. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Sandra, what is it in French? Blick.
I don't know.
No blick. Idea. No word in French for.
The first time I hear about it.
Mm-hmm. All right. So
I think it might be błysk in Polish. That would make sense.
Błysk.
Błysk. Yeah.
So
I think
cute.
that's what you mean, but
Yeah, who know? Yeah, well, see, as you see, we're struggling to find the word in English. Like like it's, I think some countries just have the word that is perfect. Like, I've always thought in French that the word, tell me, am I pronouncing this right? Enfant for baby is
Enfant is a child.
enfant, yes, for a child is like a much better word than like child, or I don't know. For just some reason, I think it's like
Really?
it's like, yeah, I just love the word. I think it
I
describes,
guess you have infant, which is pretty close, which is like,
right? But enfant like has this wonderful, it's a word that can contain so much. You can talk about like people being baby, you know, like I have a there's a Canadian French pop song I really like by a band called Harmonium, and they use the term enfant very like kind of metaphorically, and I just think enfant is better than child. You can say behave like a child, or you can say you are being an enfant. An enfant. And
Do you
so
say
I
that
guess
to Hermes?
I
will
do.
use it with my husband today. You
I
are
do,
being-
right? Is he being an enfant?
he is an enfant.
Mm-hmm.
No, with my
He is
husband.
he is literally an enfant. I am like, enfant, behave. And then he ignores me, as any good enfant will do.
Mm.
All right.
I don't know whether you're going to be able to see it, Leah. I
Yes.
used it's like a orange pencil and a yellow pencil,
Oh, fun. Show me. Take a picture.
so that it wouldn't
Show.
too-
Although you may want some of your pencil lines in here at some point, so you might even want to go right. Like let's
Yeah, I kinda
experiment
like
with that.
look.
I like, oh, Nina, good. Nina, I want to really commend you. Your drawing has gotten so much better. The one thing I want to suggest that you change, everything looks good except for this, this circle should be up a little bit higher than you have it. So bring it up and you'll see that that will adjust. So this back half is narrower because it's farther away. So just move this circle up and you'll see how that'll change your white spots. Oh, is this with watercolor pencil, Sandra?
No, they are like pilot color, E&O,
Right. Okay, so the only thing I'll say, Sandra, this looks great. You know, I don't even care. I was going to say, technically, this should not be as high as this, but because I gave you the wrong direction, the wrong
No,
measurements in the beginning, I don't think it's going to be problematic in terms of the painting. That was my bad because I didn't give you guys the right.
right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
It's a bit like an animal, it's still going to look like a lemon.
Obsessed with this. I like it. Emma, this isn't bad. I want you to notice that your negative space here is a little bit wide, which makes it looks like your lemons are falling too far apart. So do a straight line down. See that? And reshape this here. Great work, you guys. Really great work. Otherwise, looking good. Okay. Is everybody feeling kind of ready to start talking about mixing?
Yes.
Awesome. Let's do it. All right. So here's the trick with, and I've got, let's see, I'm going to put this up here. This is like a watercolor paper. I'm going to put this, where am I going to put this so we can, where am I going to put you so you guys can see the mixing? Put this. As usual, struggling to figure out how to get everything to fit.
Oh, wow. We just got an email in from the head of LSEG, David Schwimmer, about the situation in India.
Oh, yeah. Do you guys have a lot of
they
people in India?
We do. We do. Actually, I should check in with my friend Muriel. She's in Bangalore, I think. But they have, they're donating to UNICEF for oxygen testing and vaccines.
Good.
And they're doing matching donations also. So if I donate, they'll match it. That's really good. I
Good.
think I might do that.
Yes. All right, you guys. So obviously, I want you to pull all your yellows into the mix. So I'm starting with my blankie here. I'm getting my blankie wet. My blankie meaning this, with a little, my paper towel, with a little bit of wet to clean off my my trays so I can mix. And I'm also, because I did this lesson last night, I'm kind of cleaning off, I'm taking a little bit of water to clean off my yellows. So even though my yellows dry, right, I start with the tubes and then I let the yellows dry. As you mix, you often like kind of bring other colors in. So I'm just literally pulling like the top layer off. And if I feel like anything needs to be replaced, I'll add a little bit more. I'm looking here. I think I could use a little bit more lemon yellow.
What are you going to use for shadows here?
We're going to mix, great question. We're going to mix ultramarine blue and quinacridone red. We're going to mix
Okay.
a purple. Thank you for
If I have-
asking that. If you have purple, do you want to try? If you've
I
got
have
a
a
purple,
Queen Permanent Rose or Queen Permanent Magenta
Quin Permanent Rose. Quin
Okay,
Permanent
thank you.
Rose will be the better
or
one.
Permanent Deep Red.
Yeah, not permanent deep red. Try
Okay.
Quin Permanent Rose.
Magenta, did you say? Or Rose?
Magenta
Rose.
gets a little pinky,
Yes,
a
it
little
is.
too like sort of, it's a fantastic color for certain things. I've added it kind of to my supplementary list.
I guess
but-
it throws me because rose in French is pink. So,
Oh,
but you're right, it looks more red.
it has, I mean, it's kind of electric. It's really beautiful. It's kind of electric. It's really beautiful. So we are going to start, as always. So I'm going to have you start mixing the shadow color. And the trick with lemons is you want to mix it lightly. So we're going to start by taking a little bit of ultramarine blue and Quin red or rose. You want a kind of blue-y purple. So I'm mixing that here. And then I'm going to clean my brush off. Squeeze it out with my blankie. Okay. And then I'm gonna play around with, so I have here, I've got a Gamboge. If you've got it, I did not ask you to get this color, so if you don't have it, that's okay. Yellow ochre and Gamboge are pretty close together. I have a lemon yellow, which is a cool yellow. I've got a cad yellow, medium. I've got all those here, the ochre. And so I'm gonna start with my cad yellow medium. I'm gonna bring that over here, and then I'm gonna pull just a touch of the purple in. So I want a little bit of purple, but not so much that it turns brown. So therein lies your challenge. Challenge accepted. The purple. So I'm pulling in yellow. I'm getting little dots of the, so what are the cats wanting? Who knows? So that when
How did you know that? You heard Pebbles?
I could hear Pebbles yelling. Yeah.
She just jumped on my chair and kind of went. I didn't know that you could hear that.
Aw, I can hear
She
all
just-
of it.
I
I think
don't know what she
I
wants.
think you guys have trained me. I think Sandra and you have trained me on and Julia and Diana, who always has a cat around. I'm like hyper paying attention to noise.
Oh, I know what Pebbles
That
wants,
noise.
actually. She wants to completely back you up on all of the yellows because they match her.
Oh, hi, baby.
That's what
I
it's
think
about.
Julia-
Yeah,
Julia
it's about
heard
Pebble
she has
colors.
Julia heard she has to the freak.
She went, weep, weep, weep. Hermes is outside watching squirrel TV.
Oh. Does he like the
Julia is
catio
here.
extension?
Say hi, Julia. Say hi.
Hi, Boo Boo.
Yeah. Hi,
Aw.
girl. Hi, sweetie. So
He's
you'll see that
amazing.
I'm laying down little test colors. I'll take pictures of these so you can really see this, but actually the light is pretty good today. Can you guys see these all have a little bit of purple in them, but not so much that it's like, here, hold on. This all have a little bit of purple in them, but not so much that it looks like kind of excessively brown. It just has a slightly shaded area. So go ahead and practice on these.
Oh, Julia. Julia.
She's wonderful. I
She's
love her.
climbing on me.
They do that. Sometimes it's really annoying.
Yes, but she really wants to do it when I'm painting.
Yeah, they get excited. Cat gets
They like
excited.
the energy.
Muka,
They like it.
Muka used to,
Yeah,
when
that's
she
what it
was
is.
younger, Muka, when she was younger, used to get pastel dust all over her. So she'd get pink. And I don't know if Jessica and Sandra, if your cats do this, do they get pastel dust on them? Do they get?
I try
And
not to put
so-
it in them, but
I know it's
I
not
try and keep
fantastic.
them
But
away. Furball has knocked over my pastels twice, but she's still perfect, even though it's still, I'm like, it still hurts my heart.
yeah.
I brought my cat to the vet once and they said, "What's this blue thing on her head?" And
Right.
it actually was dried oil paint that had just been there and I never even noticed it. So it happened.
I love it.
She had like ultramarine, like fur clump. So why is your cat blue? And I said, "Oh,
Oh,
well,
It's the baptism of being an art cat. They can't help it. They get excited, like, right?
yeah,
Like,
well,
they like the energy of it." Anything creative, cats are very tuned to it.
Into
When I
it.
was a kid, I played the piano. I played for 9 years and I had a cat. And anytime I started playing, she would come over and she would come sit on the bench with
They love
me.
it.
And it was like, they love it.
so you guys can play, by the way, sorry, not meaning to interrupt because that's absolutely
No.
true. You guys can play with mixing like maybe pale yellow and cad yellow. You can try adding a little yellow gamboge or a little bit of yellow ochre into this mix as you start pulling in. As you start pulling in the purple. So our first layer is all going to have a little bit of this purple in the base.
So, Leah,
yes,
to make sure I understood correctly, the
Yes.
purple we get from the ultramarine and the Queen Permanent Rose,
yes,
and we mix it with a yellow, is that right?
yes, but in very light doses, right? So you want your yellow to still look yellow, just slightly muted. So the
But-
challenge is, let me show you what the challenge is. This is the challenge here. Sorry, what was your question?
So
It's
that's
less.
for the shadow, right?
Yeah, we're going to put it almost everywhere.
Oh,
Because almost everywhere there is shadow. Then there's a little bit of shadow. So we're going to put it almost everywhere. I know, that's why I'm like, this is a interesting, there's a building process that happens. So if I put too much purple, here, hold on. Whoops, that's too much red. Let me get my blue in here. Okay, so if I put too much purple in my yellow, it gets kind of muddy like this. And that's not what I'm looking for. It's I want teeny tiny, we are looking for it down here, but we're not looking for that for the actual lemon. So we want to knock back our yellow. So whenever I mix a complement in, I like to use the phrase knock back. That means you're kind of muting it just a little bit, which means that you're pushing it back because we're going to lay lights on top. Looks great, Rashmi. Looks great. Wonderful. Okay, so once you have so what we want are yellows that look pretty light. Oops, that's a lot of purple. So I'm going to do it again. Now I'm going to mix. So I'm mixing and I'm keeping my purple kind of separate in a separate tray so that it doesn't overwhelm my yellows. And now I'm pulling in a little bit of yellow, bunch of yellow. I've mixed pale yellow, lemon yellow and cad yellow. And I'm pulling in just a touch, little touches with the corner of my brush till I get a yellow that's slightly darkened, but not super darkened. Now I'm dipping my brush in the water again. I'm testing to see that my first layers are going to be of this color, are going to be very light and pale. Could use just a little bit more. Oh, but be careful because it can get muddy quick. It really gets, so we really want less is more here. Delicacy, this is all about delicacy. All right, so once I get that, notice I'm testing after each thing. I'm not laying this down. So now, avoiding all the white areas. Here, I'm gonna put this up here. Avoiding, sorry, sorry. Here, I'll put this up here.
Not it with paint.
So avoiding and testing every time and avoiding all the white areas. I'm going to come in here and very lightly layer in this first color. I'm going to build more color on top. And I'm going to avoid putting any color on the top of this outside rind. So we're going to stop at this line. It's going to be so pale.
So we're doing the
layers.
skin.
We're doing, watch. We're going to do the skin, but we're going to do the same color in between your lines. So you're going to maintain your light. I don't know what this word is. What is this skin? This
Segments?
thing?
Oh.
Yeah, there's the white parts so the rind, right? We're painting in, we're avoiding the rind. And if you want to, you can kind of layer in using like the edge of your brush so that there's a little bit of white spots. So you're not completely covering. So watch this. It's like this. I'm kind of dotting this in. And remember, this is our first layer. So we're going to go back over with kind of a more colorful layer, but we want this kind of layer underneath. Oops, sorry, here. You can see it. And I'm wanting to really maintain these lights. Because if we lose them, we don't get them back. Now, I know this is not the richness of the color, right? But this is our first layer. So it's kind of a muted layer. It's we're very specifically preserving our whites. We haven't even gotten into our shadows yet. We'll get into that in a minute.
This is just lemon yellow and cat yellow together.
And the purple.
A little bit of purple. Okay.
A little bit of purple. I just spent like 10 minutes like mixing purples, showing you how to mix that. So let me make sure here, hold on. I'm going to send you a picture. I did not send you a picture across the board of what those should look like. Yellow and purple. You don't want, so you want it to be not just you want it to be yellow, just a little bit grayish. Oh, I did send a picture across, but here, I'll send a picture across labeled. There we go. So this is like the yellow and the purple. So really practice with this mixing because it's easy to go off the reservation, as we say. It's easy to go off the res and lose it. And you're not getting the rind, this sort of white kind of inside flesh of the lemon. And these, I know there's a word and I just don't know what it is. And if you want to, we can also get in a little bit because this center is kind of dark. We can get in here.
Pith. It's called pith.
Your pith. Thank you.
I just Googled it.
God.
I Googled it.
The pith. So the pith. Now that's a great word. That's like a blip.
Stringy, spongy white stuff, or so-called pith, which lies beneath the peel and the fruit itself.
The pith. And we use it, we cook it in when we're making jam and stuff like that, and marmalade and stuff like that. The pith. So thank you. The pith.
And in grapefruit, it's very bitter.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you peel it off, the grapefruit is very sweet.
That's so awesome. I love all these, like here. So what we want is something that looks a little bit like this. Now, once this dry, oh wait, you know what? I'll wait. I want to wait. You can see we are spending like a good hour with our drawing and our first layers before we start laying color in actually to your painting. I'm sorry, you guys, I don't mean to rush you. And I think second layer. Do you guys have either yellow ochre or gamboge? Okay, great.
Okay.
Is Hansa Yellow Deep close enough to Gamboge or not?
I think that'll work.
Oh, actually,
Try
I might
it.
have some Gamboge.
I imagine you would, Sandra, in like
Yes, I
those
do,
kits
because-
you've been buying.
Because I
And
love
it's-
that. I love
isn't-
yellows actually.
And isn't it? And it's a magical color. Like you don't really see it in pastel or acrylic or oil. Like as a color, it's really a watercolor specific color. It's pretty neat.
What's the pigment code on your Gamboge tube?
That's a good question.
What
Is it-
brand are you using? I can look it up.
Let me
This
look.
is PY97 and PY110. It's a Daniel Smith New Gamboge.
New Gamboge. Where is
It
mine?
looks a
I
bit
think-
orangey.
Yeah, it kind of has a slightly mustardy color. Okay, there's my yellow ochre. Where's my gamboge? Here's my gamboge. Mine says, I've got Van Gogh on this one. Oh my God, I can't read it.
Hold on, I'm looking it up. Don't worry with the tiny type. Jerry's will tell us.
I see PY 154 P048. And my yellow ochre.
So that's a
is-
mix. It's a mix.
That's
So
probably right.
Well, pigment orange. Its PO is pigment orange, and then PY is pigment yellow. Let's see. I'm gonna
So
tell you
it's a
right now.
slightly oranger. It's kind of mustardy.
Yeah, exactly. It actually is the pigment that was traditionally used to dye Buddhist monk robes.
Oh, those saffron colors.
Mhm.
Nice.
You know how some, not one in particular, Lucas Indian yellow looks orange out of the tube, but it's super transparent,
Mm-hmm.
and it tints to this gorgeous, brilliant, not tints, but it goes transparent to this gorgeous, brilliant yellow.
Wow.
But it looks almost orange out. Other Indian yellows look more yellow out of the tube, but they're still pretty brilliant. But Gamboge it's a great color.
It's this very subtly, it's a subtle, earthy yellow. It's probably the earthiest yellow, wouldn't you say?
Well, yellow ochre would be, because that's literally an earth pigment.
Is this the mixed layer for this?
Yeah, it looks great. Yes, 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 yes.
I don't think Gamboge is necessarily like an actual earth color, but
I know, but it reminds me of like it has this sort of special little quality to it.
yeah.
It looks
of-
perfect for the darker parts.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. So you're still going to mix for the darker and I'm just playing with the mix here. So what I'm seeing is working is either yellow ochre or gamboge, whatever you've got, and a touch of cad yellow medium, and then a little bit more purple So it's like this. Let me show you here. I'll do the mix so that you can see it, and then I'll show you. So here, I'm going to clean this off. All right, so you're going to mix. I'm going to have some purple here. I'm finding I need to keep remixing my purple. I run out of it. Even though I'm only using little bits, I'm still running out. You want to make sure your purple isn't too red. So make sure you've got enough blue in it to make it look properly purple. That Quinn red is really dramatic. We'll make a lot
Okay,
of.
can I tell you guys something about Gamboge? Because this is really cool.
Yeah.
And you'll never think of it the same way again. Gamboge has strong laxative properties. Small doses are sufficient to produce watery feces, while large doses can be fatal.
Gross. All right, so here's some
Now you know.
Gamboge. Now you know. So here's
Now you
some
know.
Gamboge and a little bit of cad yellow medium. I'm mixing them together kind of strongly, and I'm pulling over a little bit more purple. So on my, oh wow, yeah, even that's strong. So let me
Leah,
get
what
more
would you
yellow.
do without me? Seriously.
I have no idea. I wondered
You
that the
have no
whole
idea.
time. So
Mhm.
once again, it's little bits of purple, but now you've got this richer kind of mustardy color. It's kind of golden. It's kind of golden. It's a little bit on the dark side, right? Because everything here is in darkness except for this top edge and here, kind of here. So that mix, let me write this down. This mix will look a little bit, although I like the colors that I'm seeing on the screen better. So this is Gamboge or yellow ochre plus cad yellow plus purple. And what you're kind of going for is this darker, here. You're going for this guy. And then I'm going to still lay this down. I want to wait until my second layer dries. Whoops, I got to uncover my painting. But I can come in now and add this darker bit. I want to save a little light edge that's going to be pure yellow. But that comes later. So you see how I'm now able to kind of layer my colors up? And how that starts to look a little bit prettier. We've still got that beautiful yellow color, but it's still kind of muted. Here, I'm testing my colors just to make sure. I'm still maintaining this light area. It's really a beauty. Yeah, this is Gamboge, man. This is what Gamboge can do. It is gorgeous. Oh, yum, yum, yum. And then I can take a little bit of this. Now watch this, because this is where the magic starts to happen. And I can layer in just touches of it, leaving little lighter areas. So you see how I'm doing that? I'm like kind of dotting it in using the edge. So letting some light areas. So we've got this within here, there's all this variation, right? So up to about here, I'm going to be adding in some of this shadow, some of these darker layers. Now here, Sandra, is where you can start to kind of thin out your whites if you feel like you just don't want them there in places, right? You can bring your brush, but what we're doing is we're layering kind of a darker color over a lighter color. And immediately you get this feeling of kind of pop and pith. So if you want to, Sandra, if you want to kind of minimize these now, or minimize some of them and not all of them, now is the time. Now I've left this a little bit, I've left this light, I've left this differently. I'm going to put more water on my brush because I want my mix to be a little bit lighter up here as I go in and I layer this in, because it's lighter up here. So the big answer to this question, my logic in really emphasizing these white areas, is that it's easy to lose them if you're not careful, right? It's easy to lose them. And so I want you to maintain them until you know how much you need. Then you can pull them in a little bit more.
Right.
So that's, and you also might decide that the drama of the white really helps you convey your orange in a painterly way. So that's like, so this is like a special, like precious little, here, hold on, I'm gonna take a picture of this so you guys can see it. This is this, it's like the, it's like the meditation, watercolor is like the meditation of the paint world. You can't really go too heavy when you want your colors to look right. So that's what's kind of beautiful about it. I have to think really clearly. And I'm just noticing as I took a picture that I want to pull a little bit off of the top here. So I'm taking my, see, I went a little bit too heavy. It's easy to do that. You get like so excited by, yellow is such an exciting color.
I agree.
And then it really is so beautiful. And then I'm going to take my little skinny brush and I'm going to go right into cad yellow. Sorry, lemon yellow, the pale yellow. What you want is a cool yellow. So we've been really focusing on warm yellows, and I'm going to actually bring, using my little skinny brush, this little warm yellow edge all around. So I still have white, right, for the pith. Oh my God, thank you for that. I'm going to be saying that word all day long, Jessica. The pith, right? But now I have this little bright edge, little cool, poppy, bright edge. Can happen here too.
Again, Leah, what would you do without me?
Hey, we missed you when you were all you were hanging
I
out with
really,
that dude Ken Goshen.
really missed you guys. You guys are way more fun. I mean, he's cool, but you guys are
We are
very
way more
special and
fun.
unique.
We
You
are
are.
way more fun.
You have more cats.
And if you
know,
want
that's
me, if
always
you
a
want
plus.
to, you can brush in a little bit of this light yellow kind of up into here. But we still, you can do a little bit, just lightly.
We also have more cats.
We have way more
That's
cats.
what I said. You have more cats. He
We
doesn't
have
any
way
cats.
more cats.
He has literally no cats.
So I'm taking my little pointy brush and going right into my purple and pulling in a little bit of purple right over the top of into my center, because you can see that the center is a little bit darker and more shadowy. Do you see how I'm pulling that? Look at how, I mean, what I'm kind of blown away by is we have this thing that looks very weird. But watch what happens when you guys post this. Your friends are going to react like crazy. They're going to be like loving it so much. Like the lemon is one of those things that can be done really simply. Now, if you want to, you can even go a little bit darker here. So you can pull in a little bit more of that. You want to test all the time. Here, I'm just going to test right on here. I can go in here and darken, you know, with more sort of purpley, yellowy goodness right in here, right around the edge, particularly. So this is why I wanted everybody to work with lemons today. I wanted you to get, because lemons are super subtle. And we're going to go into more dramatic stuff. But this is like, lemons really, watercolor lemons really emphasize the magic of watercolor and what it can do. Now, once you've done that, you can take your purple and just make that muddy. So remember how I said, don't make that muddy green mess? You can actually now mix your purple in with the yellow to do your shadow. which is very dark brown. So you cannot worry so much about you're still mixing purple and yellow, but there's a lot more purple in this mix. If you look really closely, you can see, and here I'll take a picture of this so you guys can really see this. And the shadow, whoops, come in here. You'll see there's like a brown layer, and then there's this kind of sweet yellow layer. So you might add a little bit more yellow into your mix. Test it first, right? Water it down a little bit. Do this kind of yellow layer around. And then it becomes very soft, almost grayish blue. Really gray. So maybe a lot more yellow. Maybe a touch more blue. But a lot more water. So you'll see I'm testing here to make sure my top layer here is like lighter. I could use more blue in here, I think. So this is a mix where we're using, oops, sorry, I painted right on we're using variations of the same colors, but in different kind of quadrants. If you want, you can go right in with a cad yellow on your top here and add in some with no shadows, kind of add in a few spots, but nothing should really cover completely. You can look a little bit closer and see where is it a little bit darker, right? Where's my yellow a little bit darker? Where do I really want to emphasize that white? Oops. Or, you can play around. I mean, like I said, I don't like to be too rigid. I like to teach technique. I feel like now you have got this. There's a lot of mark making possibilities here. There's a lot of ways to do this. There are different mixes. You can play with just putting kind of brightness. I know some of you like to work super bright. Notice also that your paint will dry. You're going to work edges closer. Now I'm pushing in and getting rid of some of those light whites. I'm going to add my second shadow. And by the way, I know I'm going fast here, so I'm happy to review any color mixes. Don't feel shy to ask about any color mixes. We've got that really dark shadow here. Then it kind of, there's like a little yellow edge around it. Interesting, though, that almost everything here has some kind of shadow in it. There's almost no brightness. There's almost no just pure yellow, except perhaps on the very top. And then the last thing I like to do is give myself a little background, because this is a purple, this is a yellow, because this is a yellow subject I like to do. And this is where it's really fun to play. I like to do a little bit of a purple splash kind of around the edge, but not, whoops, that's way too dark. Here, hold on. So I can do two things. I can get more water on my brush and spread it around a little bit. It's not as dark, as blue as I want it to. There we go. Or I can just I can take my blankie. And I like in a few areas, yeah, totally too dark. Or I could totally just dip my brush in water and make it lighter. There we go. So in some areas, I like to add a little bit splash of color, particularly up here. But I'm not going to put it everywhere. So if you can see, I'm leaving a significant bit of this not painted.
Looking
I-
beautiful, yeah.
What's that?
It's looking beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I've been doing this all week. So for me, this is my third go round. So that is, so play, you can pick any color you want. It could be a dark green or a blue, whatever you want. It doesn't have to be purple, but you see that like I'm trying to leave. So your last job is to kind of lay a little bit of background color in there. And then boom, all of a sudden this turns into a painting that looks like lemons. Now it's, not as realistic. That is true. It's very impressionistic lemons. So you could keep working into the detail if you want to. Whoops, come back here. Where are you, WhatsApp? But this is what's the beauty of watercolor. Oh, Diana, that's really coming along. Do you see? It's Tony the Bengal, who Diana lost custody of in the lawsuit.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, you've never heard the
wasn't
story
Tony.
of the lawsuit? The lawsuit?
No, this
You were
doesn't
going
sound like
for
a
a-
happy. What
Yeah.
happened?
Oh my
It was-
God. Insane.
It's a long story, but basically it was a cat that walked around our area like in the beginning of 2013, and it tried to get into every house,
Right.
and no one let him in, but
You did.
he has, yeah, after 2 years.
Right.
Yeah. But he has hanged on our property, and we started feeding him, and he slept in our garage. And we had a dog that didn't like cats, so he never came into the house, but he became our friend. And then after 1.5 years or something, a neighbor said, "That's our cat." And I guess they
No.
just claimed it.
And this went
And
so
and
far.
anyway, it kept on just coming back, and they would catch the cat once in a while and keep it locked in for a week or so. And as soon as he got out, he ran over to our house. And
Clearly liked you better.
yeah,
Oh, it totally did. And now it's being trapped, and now it doesn't get to go outside at all.
yeah. So after the cat had lived here for 7 years, my neighbor sued me for $10,000 for stealing her cat.
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
she just wanted $10,000 and looked for
Yeah.
a likely person. Why didn't that get thrown out in court?
That's my
I don't
question.
know. It should have been. It should have
Yeah.
been. But anyway, it went to court, and I
You
counted.
didn't have to pay that money, did you?
No.
But a
Oh my
judge
God.
did not throw it out. A judge actually freaking ruled on it.
Yeah.
And what
That's
he ruled,
astounding.
was that she got to keep the cat, right?
No, she didn't.
The evil woman got to keep the cat.
No, she didn't rule that. I had countersued for the cat, but by the time, as it was the pandemic, by the time it went to court, the cat had been trapped there for 7 months.
Right.
And I felt like it's not fair to the cat to like
I mean, you
Yeah.
actually
take it
care for
back.
the cat.
Did you take any financial loss from that lawsuit?
No,
not
Okay.
really.
Right.
Really.
Okay.
it's
Okay.
more time and pain in the ass. Like,
Yeah, it was more pain
Well,
in the ass, and my friend, who is a former judge, a Superior Court judge, said, if you lose, we'll just go to Superior Court and I'll represent you if you want the cat back. But after 7 months, so I said I give up my counterclaim, and the judge just said, okay. all is good. Why,
How
why
did that
should-
not get thrown out?
I don't know. It was so strange. And, you know,
Yeah.
People's Court and Judge Judy called, everyone wanted to have the case. And
Judge Judy called you? Oh my God.
well, her producer.
That's not a real court vote. Does it count as a real court?
No, but it's, you agree to give up the real
Oh, I see.
case, and they pay you for being there, and they also pay all the fees. to
That's
the
so
court.
horrendous.
Because it's
Yeah,
such a bizarre case, and it probably would have been really good TV, and that's why they wanted it. Oh my
But
God.
anyway, I didn't lose any money, and
All
but
right.
I lost the
Okay.
cat.
Cat.
But that was my own fault for not. I didn't feel it was worth doing that to the
That's
cat.
not a fault. That's not a fault. That's your decision of what's
Yeah.
best for the situation. That is absolutely not a fault.
Yeah.
There's no
So,
wrong answer. You did what you felt was best.
Yeah. I
Best
did.
for the
Nothing wrong
cat.
with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It may not be, yes.
Yeah, they didn't at all. I mean,
And they have built a cat like you have, so the cat doesn't get out.
Right. So Olga, not bad. I feel like you got a little purple, super purple in here, but I still think it looks good. If you wanted a little bit brighter yellow, you just use a little bit less purple. And it's kind of a little bit too purple up here, right? So it's fairly dark. So that's what you want to be careful of, is you can't go too dark. So you notice these first washes here. I'm going to show the first wash again, just so we can be clear on how light that is. And this is the, you know, this is what we learn about watercolor, right? It's really about layering. So you see the difference here in this first wash is so light, so that you don't end up with these purples. Now, my suggestion is to take a little bit of water on a paper towel and try to pull off a little bit of the purple, the dark here, just here in these three sections. Otherwise, I think it looks pretty good. So see if you can pull that off, and then maybe get a little bit of general. By the way, I love your shadows. They're gorgeous. The cast shadows here are really, really beautifully, I want to just say, beautifully wrought. Beautiful. So see if you can pull up a little bit of the purple here, and then maybe add a little bit of regular yellow, and then add a little background.
Okay, thank you.
It's lovely. What do you think, Olga? How do you like using watercolor?
Yeah, I love watercolors. Yeah, so
Yes.
I need to learn more technique, but I love it. And actually about this purple inside, I wanted to have it because I see that on actual lemons it's a bit darker on this side.
It's
so
always, but yeah, it's darker, but it's not so prominent. So everything, this layer that I showed you had purple in it. That layer that I just put across, this has purple in it. This has purple in it. So it is just not as, and I hope you were paying attention to that. This whole primary wash had purple in it. So it can still look like this and be purple. So that's what you just need to pay attention to. And that's why it's so delicate, right? You can just go so strong so quickly. Yes, that's why all of this is shadowed. Everything has shadow. Basically, the only thing that's not shadowed is up here, here. That's it. Everything else is in shadow. And a bit of this, there's still shadow in this flesh here because it dips in and out. We just want to be careful about not making it too, just don't go too dark. You can't fix it. On an acrylic painting, you want it to go dark and add your lights on top, but not in here. You have to be really measured. All right, let's see. Anik, that looks pretty good. Beautiful. So yeah, and I love the way you have this top here and the softness of so the only thing I'd say, Anik, is just once again, leaving a little white can help. You have some here, which is nice, but leaving areas white can actually help sort of create a sense of depth. This is beautiful. You might want to push the darkness of this a little bit. You can.
I'm thinking about it. On the other hand, the left one looks more like a potato because
It's a little bit the
dark.
shape. It's so once again, see if you can take a little bit of wet cloth and see if you can pull off a little bit of these three segments.
Actually the segments I like, just the bottom.
The
of
shape.
It.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, the fear.
Absolutely.
It's a little bit too brown, I think.
Yeah.
But,
Yep. Ooh, Sandra,
unfortunately.
gorgeous.
Really?
Gorgeous. So you can go, I love it. So once again, it's going a little bit lighter on these top three. And I like how, Sandra, see, now you can kind of pull together and get rid of some of those whites if you're feeling like,
Right.
yeah, this is like, very nice, really gorgeous. I would say, notice, Sandra, that like part of what helps with the structure of this lemon is that the lead pencil lines actually kind of add a little bit of structure.
And I
So-
erased my orange lines because they looked weird.
Right. So it might be that your pencil,
put them in?
maybe, you might go around with a regular pencil and add in just a few shapes. So right
Actually,
here.
Yeah, maybe I was
So-
thinking maybe of using an ink pen of a like
Oh my God.
sepia
Yeah. Do it.
or like
do it.
light gray or sepia because I could,
Sepia. I think
Okay.
would be stunning. And
Definitely
also-
sepia.
sepia.
A definite vote for that.
Right. Also notice, you guys, that it's easy to kind of leave this little area too white. So you'll want to start to carve it in. Don't leave too much of a thing. This is great though. These are beautiful. Honestly, you post these and people will go bananas over them. Like everyone that I've seen so far, people are going to be like, oh my God, I want to buy that, blah, blah, blah. Is it for sale? It's so beautiful. You're so talented, whatever they all say on Facebook when you post something. They will like it because it's such an appealing composition, lemons.
It's also, I think there's something very psychological about lemons in particular.
Yeah. What
I
is
know
it?
for myself, I'll tell you what it is, because lemons, when you see an image of a lemon, you can smell it.
That's
And
right.
they're associated
It's
with
visceral.
cleanliness. It's very visceral, and they're associated with cleanliness because you use
Yes.
them for cleaning. So I think if you ever need to make a quick buck, do it with lemons because people will go for it.
Yes.
They fit anywhere, and people
They fit
have a
what
very
they-
psychological reaction. I've actually analyzed this in myself in particular because I love lemons. I also
Mhm.
like limes, and I love images of grapefruits and oranges. And I do look, I
Citruses.
enjoy, I particularly personally enjoy still life paintings that are very
Oh.
representational, but also done in a creative way. And the ones that have lemons give me a very visceral reaction in a way that others don't.
Mhm.
And the reason for it is because it's partially cultural. Like if you go in the dishwashing aisle in the grocery store, you're going to see lemon flavored. Lemon is associated with clean and refreshing and
Yep.
health. And it's
Lemonade.
very lemonade, everything. And everybody has had a lemon
Yeah.
with sweet, and it's an enjoyable experience. Any image of a lemon is going to automatically give that psychological sharpness in a way that oranges don't, even though everybody loves oranges too. It's just something
Speaking-
about lemons.
They're very much. And
Yeah.
speaking of, by the way, sharpness, added sharpness, you guys will notice that once again, I taped my image here. So once I pull my tape away,
Oh my
I
God,
have
that's the best part.
I have this edge which has no lines except where there's paint. Can you see that? So here, look at what that does to really finish my watercolor painting. This is what I mean by there's no line here. Like I don't have paint here, but the paint stops very fully. So it's this kind of uneven, sort of unequally filled out edge. Look at what that does to the piece.
Leah, what's the palette you're using? Like the actual physical,
This
not
palette?
the paint. the physical palette.
It's
Yeah,
just
not
a
the paint
$10
colors in it.
palette. It's just a $10
That's awesome.
palette.
It's
I love
awesome.
it, which I'm completely
great.
in love with. It's amazing.
Mhm,
It's, I think
mhm.
I think I bought it at my favorite arts, my neighborhood art
Is it
store.
metal or plastic?
It's plastic
Okay.
because I like to bring it around with me.
Yeah.
So
No, it's cool. Looks like a good one.
it is a really nice one. It's got lots
Mm-hmm.
of trays. I'm kind of obsessed with having lots of trays, enough to store the paints that I need for mixing, enough to have like 3 or 4 mixes going at the same time.
I'm going to send you another picture. I'm not sure whether this works, but I've always wanted to do this, you know, like
Let me
this kind
see.
of pen and wash thing. So let's see whether that improved
Do you,
it or
so my
not.
question is, do you like it? What's your initial reaction?
So it's interesting because when I look at other people doing it and they even use like black ink, I absolutely love it. When I do it myself, I'm like, it almost feels a bit too much.
Let's see.
But let's see.
Let's see.
Hold on. I'm just.
It's hard to judge your own work, one's own work. I find that that's really hard to know.
It just looks different.
Yes, let's see. I absolutely think a black ink line might look really beautiful, like with
So this
a
is sepia,
skinny
but
marker.
it still looks dark. I love the look normally.
Oh,
but,
I think it looks great. I think it works. I love it.
Are
It's
you using
maybe a
walnut
little-
ink?
Can I, let me finish, let me hold on
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
we'll, I would say, Sandra, on this side, you went a little too heavy with it. On this one, it's perfect. Do you see how you didn't?
Yeah, it was my first side on the right.
Yes, so you did all, and notice how you automatically created a pattern, right? So
Beautiful.
it's like a little flower that you did, like the flowers, right? So it's, what really works is to have it in some places, and I think
not
it's
others.
perfect here. Yeah,
Now
I think
you're
that's
reminding
great.
me of
It's beautiful. I think it
I'm,
totally works. So I think one of the things that shows us is that the pencil lines, whatever you decide to use, the contour lines, they're important. They help add structure, right? So whether you're using a lead pencil like I am, or you're using that kind of beautiful sepia like Sandra is, that can help us create a little bit of extra texture, to help us create the feeling of volume in this. And the question, oh, actually it's, yeah, but it does finish it, Sandra. It totally finishes it.
I just need a background now, I guess.
Yes, background. I mean, you could do yellow if you wanted to. I think it generally.
Actually, I love that purple you made us mix. It's granulating. It's gorgeous.
Jessica, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's okay.
What brand of ink is it? Is it walnut ink?
This is Unipin. No, it's Unipin. I've also got another.
Look up walnut ink.
I know.
It's a company that does they do this gorgeous sepia ink, but it's after the old masters formulas. It is like the most beautiful sepia drawing ink you could possibly buy.
Is it waterproof?
I believe it is.
Okay.
You would have to check on their website to make sure, but walnut ink, then that if you just Google walnut ink, you'll find it. It's beautiful stuff.
I'd heard about it, but I didn't know that it was a brand.
Oh, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
People who
think I work
with
I didn't know
walnut
it was a
ink.
brand.
Yeah. Can I I'm going to jump in and talk to Rashmi. Anik, that looks great. Rashmi, I appreciate the caution with you're using this, and I like some of your color mixes. I feel like your purples are a little bit too purple and not gray enough, right? Sort of brown enough down here. And I think in a couple places you kind of switched your darks and your lights. So it's a little bit, what you want is a light lemon yellow edge around here, and that this becomes a little bit darker, right? So you could go in, and particularly down here, you could darken here. So I think one of the things that's happening is your, we want to make sure your values are working right. So I would go a little bit darker, a darker layer on this lemon rind. And then notice you did these kind of splashes that look too symmetrical. Yeah. So now my eye is going to them. So you want to take a brush with some water, just water on it, and go in to your painting and kind of spread those, pull that paint out and spread it out a little bit with straight water so that it kind of fills up more. And then try to get a little bit lighter up on these three.
Leah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I need some urgent advice.
Yes.
You know where you put the purple?
Yes.
Did you put it like up in the air, or did you also put it down below the shadows?
I put
Or
it
is that
here and I put it here. Can't you see it? Can you see it? Just here.
Now I can see it. So
Yeah,
not
yeah,
at the
yeah.
bottom, because at the bottom is obviously some kind of surface.
Yeah. I just
Okay,
laid it
messed
here
that
and
up.
here. Yep.
What do I do
Annika.
now? Look, I messed it up. What do I do?
You might have gone too far.
I've
So
already gone
take
too
a
far, so
little
what do I
bit,
do
take some water and see if you can scrub it out in certain areas.
Okay.
Take some water and see if you can scrub it. Okay, so Annika. So Annika, you also did a switcheroo, like your darkest so here, this area is the darkest. It should be the lightest, and you've made it the darkest. So what you want to do is bring your darks down here and kind of try to lighten up here. Now, once again, as you've learned, I like this one. This isn't too bad. You've also, it's funny, Annika, your way of making marks is very like you always have hard edges on everything, right? So I want you to concentrate on these backgrounds and your background on creating a softer edge. So it isn't just looking like it's floating there. So your background is just like plopped there and it's dark and I go right to it. And then I wonder, why am I looking at this, right? So everything should be softer in your background and you should try to lighten here and darken down here. Otherwise, looking pretty good. So it's just, I guess what I want to say, oh, not bad, Natalia, not bad. Nice.
So with Natalia, it works somehow. That's at the bottom.
She has more, because she has more white.
Should I have a surface at the bottom, like a different color?
No, you want to stop.
No, I know, but it shows, but I didn't completely manage to lift it, if you see what I mean. Let me show you.
I mean, I don't know. It might just be we have to let it sit. By the way, Natalia, that's great. This looks great. Actually, I think it looks fine, Sandra. I like it.
It dries a little bit lighter.
It'll dry a little bit lighter.
Okay.
I think just leave it. I actually think it's quite pretty. Post it and see what happens. I encourage all of you to post these. These are beautiful. They're all lovely. What I wanted to say to Annika is, Annika, I know your mark making style is very harsh. It's like harsh, strong lines. So while I want to encourage you to always, I'm not going to try and talk you. I don't want to talk you out of that. I also want you to be aware that that's something that you do. And so ask yourself always, do I need that harsh, strong line, or should I soften it a little bit? So you can soften with water in the strong background. So I guess I'm just saying, I'm paying attention to your voice. I'm not trying to squelch your voice, but I want you to be aware of your natural mark making and to push it a little bit. I'm the same way. I like to make very strong, like sort of lines. And so, and Natalia, I would say, is, for example, is a very different mark maker. All her lines are very soft. So for Natalia, she has to talk herself into sometimes hardening, right, Natalia? Like, that's just what I mean. It doesn't mean that you're not going to paint the way you're going to paint. It means be aware, if I'm a hard edge maker, I want to sometimes like soften those edges. And when I am a soft edge maker, I want to sometimes find hard areas to add hard edges in. So and so that's not to say I don't like both your styles, because they're both really wonderful. What do you guys think about watercolor? Do you like it? Yeah,
I love it.
It really is. You know why you love it, Sandra? You get a lot out of each stroke. Like there is a lot of, like, look at this. Like, here's a stroke right here, right? All I did was go brush, and look at these edges and the way the paint dries. And then it's just, there's so much. It's the most economical of painting styles. You get so much out of each stroke. You just have to get the strokes right. We have to get the right strokes. I wanted to say also, Sandra, that this technique that we're practicing is a great way to deal with feathers and fur. So you're going to start with kind of a looser, lighter shadowed wash. So the wash will always be kind of shadowed, right? It'll always have a little bit of the complement in it, but it'll be light. So so that you have a little bit of a neutralized shadowed base, but it's not too heavy. So this is a great way to handle fur, you know, like soft gray, grayed out color washes, but
why does it need a complement in it?
Because there's always dark, because the layers underneath something are always darker, because the darkness is under all of our lights. So it's always shade. There's always, because fur lies on top of fur, and then the bottom fur, which we can see bits of, is shaded. So usually it's yeah, right, like except in like certain areas where you can see a blick of light, right, or something like that. But there's always, so we always have to go darker. But in watercolor, we can't go dark the way we go dark in acrylic, oil, or pastel. We have to start with this very soft grayed out yellows. And I still think that but we need them. So that's a great way. Like I was thinking about the bird that you posted and worked on yesterday. This is a technique that could work really well for that bird. So you're kind of gradually layering in darker colors, but in only certain spots where it needs to be. Other things are sort of softer washes of grayed colors.
And when we use the complement, doesn't that mute sort of a brilliance of it?
But not everything is brilliant. You keep your whites to maintain your brilliance. You go very light.
You have to.
You have to. I know.
It's because of visual contrast.
Yeah.
If you take two brilliant, no, listen, this is important. Leah's right. If you take two really brilliant colors, they might vibrate against each other, but neither one will really show off the other one. If you really want to make a color sing and pop, you need to put it next to a gray.
Yep.
But we're talking here on top of a gray.
Yes, but you're letting
not on top, next to.
No, in this case,
they
vibrate. Yes. But listen, Sandra, there are still grayed areas that we're going to show.
You have to have your grays. You have to have them.
I know what
she's saying. If you do not have grays, nothing is going to sing.
She's arguing that
everybody in the room is shouting. You can't hear anybody.
Yeah.
Sandra, that's what it is.
There's you are, I guess what I would say is the problem with the thought process here, the logic process that you're trying to apply, is that you're assuming that there are some areas in these lights that are absolutely light. And that's just not true. There is dark everywhere. And then there are brighter, darker areas, but there still is gray everywhere.
You have to have
it. And so even though you're layering, and I think the problem, you get too caught up in every little white blick that you see here. You get too caught up in that. And you think that that's more important than it really is. And then you're arguing with me about where the lights are, right? So I guess what I'm trying to direct you to see is that there's more gray than you think in these fleshy areas. And you need it, in this particular case, we need it everywhere. And then your pops come very partially from the areas that you've preserved in white. So there's more gray in this flesh than you think. In fact, it's all gray, really.
It's all gray. It's all gray.
It's all gray.
All gray.
And the places, so to put a very light gray on top, and honestly, tell me, look at this color. I'm going to put it over again. I want you to look at the first wash and tell me honestly, is this a terrible gray? This is not a terrible gray.
No, but I
This
see.
this is a gray, but it's a very light, loose gray. So I'm going to put this over again. Take a look, and I want you to look at it and tell me. This is, yeah, great, Rashmi, much better. This is a gray. This is a grayed yellow. So it is that, it's your understanding of gray. That's beautiful, Rashmi. It's actually lovely. So I think what I want, yeah, there's just way more gray. There's very few bright yellow spots. And so with feathers, with fur, there is always a darker layer underneath that is influencing, and particularly with the texture of fur, we're seeing a light piece of fur next to a shadowy piece of fur, a lighter piece of fur, I should say, next to a shadowy piece of fur. At the very end of this, you could try adding a few bits of white if you wanted to, but you're going to see they're not really. So I could go back in here.
No, I'm not
with
thinking
light.
of white. I was thinking of brilliant yellow,
Yeah,
like the photograph is.
I think where you think you're seeing
True, it's not completely
yellow,
brilliant yellow, but it's very bright.
it's I don't know what to tell you.
No, I'm happy to hear.
I'm
what
like,
you say.
I'm trying to, I know, and I'm just frustrated at trying to find, I'm not frustrated at you, I'm frustrated at trying to find the words. I'm just thinking, I don't think it's that bright. I just don't. Oh, by the way, if you guys wanted to, you think it's brighter than it really is. And I think that I see gray when I see grayed yellow when I look at this. So I think it's a decision that we make about yellow. Yes, it's pretty and it's bright. By the way, I'm adding in a few bits of white strokes here over these top three, which are closest to the light, and it's helping. So I think I think it's your I think it's your left brain trying to tell you what you're interpreting.
I think lemons, when they get darker, they look like they're much more ancient. This looked like a very fresh lemon in the photograph.
Yeah, I don't know. This is the best I could do, kid. I'm like, there is, I just think there is more like gray than you think in here. You could, if you wanted, start with a yellow, with a plain yellow, and then you could lay grays on top, but I don't think it'll look right. To me, when I interpret this, I really, yeah, sure, it got a little bit darker, right?
But then it looks like, you know, a very old lemon that's about to mummify, you know.
I don't think this looks, yeah.
Some of these lemons look old.
Well, because there's a little too much purple. So it's a balance of, yeah, we're not going to get there in this lesson. But I will think about the ways to try and explain it to you. My point being, it's a subtlety. There's a subtlety of color. It's easy to go too dark, right? So there is a little bit that we let go in that, but that this is not a bright yellow. If I were to lay down a bright yellow, it looks like, hold on, this. I have a question. Yes, this is what that bright yellow looks like. And that's not really what's happening.
That's actually lemon yellow straight.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's lemon yellow, but that's not what's happening. But look at what, that's not what's happening here.
No, but this is not lemon yellow. It has like, this is not exactly lemon yellow which we have. It's not, I can show you, I have a lemon.
Yeah, my point is, this is just not what's happening here.
No, this is not.
Yeah, so we need a little bit of neutralization.
Juicier lemons, like, you know, which, yeah, this is not yellow lemon.
Yeah, that's the point. It's like a little bit neutralized. It's a little bit neutralized. So our practice is learning how to mix grays appropriately. And that's what this whole lesson is about. How do you mix a yellow gray? It's one of the hardest things to do because you want your yellows to look yellow, but still not bright yellow, because that's not what's happening there. It's a muted yellow. So I need to learn how to mute my yellows. And you may or you may not like what I've done on my painting or how I've chosen to approach it, which is fine. But I can tell you that just going with bright yellow obviously doesn't work. You don't see it. So at this point, I don't want to talk about it anymore because we're all talking in circles. But I'm wanting you to understand that what you think you're seeing is almost never direct color. And that's why we did, and that's actually why I had you do lemons, because I wanted you to see the delicacy of how we layer up. I actually think you guys did pretty good. I think they're kind of lovely. And I think you're going to get better at it as you get more practice. I think next week we are going to landscape, if I remember correctly. I will let you know for sure.
Have you marked the inside lines of that pit with the purple color? I'm not like able to make it out with the. Have you marked these lines, Leah, with a little bit of purple color?
Yes, I did. I went in a little. You mean here?
No, no, the lines which are going in that pit area, that fleshy area.
This or?
Yeah, these lines. Did you mark it out with a little bit of purple?
Nope, it's just pencil.
Okay.
It's literally pencil.
Okay.
That's the pencil. So it's where the pencil and the paint kind of mix together and obviously get a little bit leady, like if that makes any sense. Anybody have anything else to add to this? Jessica, do you have any other insights we can add to this about it? It's really hard to explain.
So no, there is a painting. I just liked it on Instagram either early today or yesterday. It was this absolutely stunning still life of grapefruits. And I'm trying to find it because it illustrates exactly what you're trying to say. The cadmium red light that is oil. But it doesn't matter because
it makes a huge difference.
It doesn't. Sandra, listen to me. It doesn't matter. The reason it doesn't matter is because the theory behind it is the same. The only difference is in application. And this still life freaking glows. And the reason it glows
is that almost everything is grayed down, right?
Because everything that you want to glow is set against gray.
Yes,
it does not matter.
We're talking about layers in watercolors. We're talking about a layer underneath.
I just got a lemon and I cut it into half. This is the lemon color. This is not that lemon.
Right. Wait, hold that up, Rashmi. Keep them up. I'm going to add you to the spotlight here. Do it. Hold them up.
Yeah,
there it is.
If you just put it like that, right?
Right.
What is this supposed to illustrate?
It's just not the color of lemon yellow.
No, I'm saying this is lemon. I think that the one we are using it here is a bigger lemon. So lemon yellow might be good for something like this smaller size of lemon, but this is a different kind
I'm
of
going to
look at the photograph. It's brilliant yellow.
I'm going.
Oh, see, I also have it. It's a little orangish if you compare it to this. See? I'm just comparing it.
All right. Yes,
no,
you can adjust things back, but I still think there's more gray than you
think
there
always
is.
more gray
This is what Jessica and I are trying to point out here.
Please trust Leah on this. She's right.
Whether you're working in pastels or oil,
it doesn't matter.
Watercolor makes a huge difference. We're
No,
talking
it
about the
doesn't.
gray underneath for watercolor. It makes a massive difference.
I love
whether it's next to it or underneath.
I love the vigorous debate, and we're going to keep having it as we go through and deal with different colors. I just think
if I was working in transparent layers, right? You want now we're talking about chroma, right? So there are three properties of colors. There's hue, value, and chroma. You want your chroma to sing. So if you are working in watercolor, which is from generally speaking a light to dark process, you want your lightest, most chromatic areas to only have white underneath, because that's the same as glazing over white in an oil painting.
Right.
Because you want it to go transparent.
There's just more gray than we think there is, and that's a hard thing to
always
get across.
More gray. Always.
And this is the non-intuitive part of painting and color.
No, but we agree on the
whites. We're learning, right? Right.
Gray underneath.
There is a gray underneath. The question is the best way to capture it. We're going to keep working on it. if you come up with something that works, let me know. The better, you can let me know. And I'll be happy to incorporate it into it. Seriously though, like I mean,
I'm not going to
like,
change your style of painting.
it's not a style of painting, it's a technique. It's a technique. Don't
Oh, your
worry.
technique.
I'm
It's
all about
knowing
technique.
how to make your
It's knowing how to
colors
make your colors
vibrant. You don't
vibrant.
want it vibrant everywhere. You want it
Yeah.
next to gray.
But yes, I'm agree with what you're saying, but you're not saying the same thing as what Leah is saying. Leah is saying to have a layer of gray underneath, and I disagree.
Yeah.
For watercolor.
So actually, if you want the most brilliant color in accent areas of your painting, you don't want anything underneath it.
Okay.
Yes, in this
I agree with that.
particular case,
You want white
Red-
underneath it.
you want white underneath it. In this
Because
particular
gray is
ca-
going to lower your chroma.
Yes.
If you
Yes.
want your most chromatic pops in certain areas, you don't want gray underneath because then it's transparent
Okay.
and you're seeing gray through it.
But
All
we
right.
all agree on.
That we agree on. In this particular case, everything was gray. So everything was gray, and that's what we don't agree on. That's okay. I see gray.
It's
you don't.
90% gray.
It's 90%
gray.
Guys,
Easily.
this I have to go.
Okay, thank you
Aw.
very much, guys.
Great work, and we'll
Thanks,
keep getting
Leah.
there. And you're great. You guys are great.
So
this is
are you.
Yes, and this is wonderful. And the video will be up soon, and boy, will people be entertained. Great work, everybody. Post
Thank
your
you so
lemons.
much,
See
everyone.
what happens. See what happens when you post your lemons. They're beautiful. Hold them up. Hold them up. Everybody hold their lemons.
Hold your lemons.
Hold your
Oh,
lemons.
honey.
Hold your lemons. Wonderful.
I can hold my
Right.
cat for a second.
Hold your cat. Hold your
The
cat.
cat
Hold
is
your
wonderful,
lemons.
Diana.
Wonderful. They worked. They're all working. Okay. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Beginning drawing, we start like cityscapes, man-made objects. I haven't quite decided. We might do a car. I haven't decided yet. Something sort of structural to like get into that. Of course, you can always draw or paint what you want. There is no landscape pastels class on Sunday. Marie has a previous engagement, but I will be doing still life and oil at after that class is over, the normal time. So we'll see you guys then.
Thank you, Leah.
Bye.
Thank you.